A liter-class inline-four retro looks straight out of the 1970s, cornering ABS, a full electronic suite, and a price tag of $10,599. That combination wasn't supposed to exist anymore. For years, if you wanted an affordable four-cylinder standard with real character, your options had basically dried up to one aging Kawasaki. Then Honda walked in and dropped this, the silver retro CB1000F. But here's what nobody saw coming. Hiding under that old-school tank is a detuned Fireblade superbike engine, and the way Honda priced this thing has the rest of the industry sweating. If you've been riding for more than 10 years or so, you remember when a bike like this was just, well, normal. An upright four-cylinder standard you could actually afford, the kind of thing your uncle had in the garage. Big, torquey engine, round headlight, 4 chrome pipes, and a seat that didn't fold you in half. Riders even had a name for it. The UJM, the Universal Japanese Motorcycle, the do-everything bike that basically defined the 70s and the 80s, machines like the old Honda CB1000F. And then it died. Somewhere in the 90s, manufacturers got obsessed with specialization. You could buy a track-focused superbike that would try to kill you, a couch-on-wheels cruiser, or an adventure bike the size of a small tractor. But that simple, affordable four-cylinder roadster slowly disappeared. Yamaha killed off the XJR 1300, Suzuki's Bandit faded out, and the modern retro bikes that did show up either cost a fortune or hid a completely different engine under the tank. Yamaha's XSR 900 looks the part, but it's really an MT-09 triple wearing a costume. Nice bike, not the same thing. For years, if you specifically wanted that liter-class retro inline-four feel, you had basically one real option left. The Kawasaki Z900RS, carving down a back road looking gorgeous. And don't get me wrong, that's a lovely motorcycle, but it's a 948 cubic centimeters, it isn't cheap, and you get exactly one choice, isn't exactly a thriving market. So riders did what riders do, they complained, loudly. On every forum, in every comment section, for the better part of a decade. Where's the affordable four-cylinder standard? Where's the modern CB750? And Honda, of all companies, the brand that basically invented this whole category, stayed quiet until this year. This is the 2026 Honda CB1000F. And Honda didn't just nod politely at its own history, they went straight for it. The tank, the round LED headlight, the side panels, the whole silhouette is pulled from the CB750F and CB900F Super Sport from the late 70s and early 80s. The US color even channels the old Freddie Spencer AMA Superbike livery, that clean wolf silver metallic with the blue stripe. If you grew up taping pictures of those bikes to your bedroom wall, this thing is going to hit you right in the nostalgia. But the styling isn't the part that made everyone's jaw drop, it was the price. $10,599. That's the number American Honda put on it when they announced the bike in May of 2026. And that price is borderline ridiculous once you see what it's parked next to. The Kawasaki Z900RS, its most direct rival, the bike that had this whole segment to itself, cost $12,899. Honda undercut it by $2,300, and it's not like they cheaped out to hit that number. We'll get to what's actually bolted onto this bike in a second, and that's where it gets almost unfair. That same price also puts it dead level with the Yamaha XSR 900. Same money, except you get more displacement and a bigger engine for it. That's the kind of math that keeps product managers up at night. Here's the part that turns a nice-looking retro bike into something riders actually get excited about. That engine, sitting right there in the open with its 4 exhaust headers curving down. It is a 999 cubic centimeter inline-four. And it isn't some sleepy commuter motor Honda dug out of a parts bin. It is derived from the 2017 CBR1000RR Fireblade. Yeah, that's superbike. Now Honda didn't leave it in full superbike trim, and honestly, thank goodness. In the Fireblade and in Honda's naked CB1000 Hornet that shares this engine, that motor is tuned for way more peak power, up around 150 horsepower, and it makes most of it screaming near the red line. great on a racetrack, kind of miserable on a Tuesday commute. So for the CB1000F, Honda retuned it to move all that energy down low where you actually ride. They revised the intake, fitted a 4-into-1 exhaust with a special 3-chamber muffler, and changed the gearing. First and second gear got shorter for punchier acceleration, and the higher gears got taller so it loafs along on the highway. In Honda's European figures, it's turning over noticeably lower than the Hornet at a steady highway cruise, relaxed, torquey, and easy to actually live with. And this is the bit people forget. A retuned engine like this is often more fun in the real world than the full power version. You get an assist and slipper clutch, so your downshifts stay smooth and the rear wheel doesn't chatter when you bang it down a couple gears going into a corner. You get real torque you can feel from low revs, instead of having to wring the thing's neck to get anywhere. And you still get that classic 4-cylinder wail when you do decide to open it up. That sound is half the reason people fell in love with these bikes in the first place. Now here's where it gets interesting and a little controversial. In Europe, Honda claims around 122 horsepower, but American Honda, they didn't publish a horsepower figure at all, which is weird. Motorcycle.com went digging through the certification paperwork Honda filed with US regulators, and those documents list a figure around 102 horsepower for the American version. Now, a certification number isn't an apples-to-apples match with a European brochure rating, so this isn't proof of some big detune, but it does leave a real open question about exactly where the US bike lands on power. Hold that thought because it matters when we get to whether this bike is actually worth buying. But powertrain aside, the reason Honda could sell a Fireblade-derived engine this cheap comes down to one smart move. They didn't build this bike from scratch. They borrowed almost everything from the Hornet. Real quick, if you're enjoying this, take 1 second and hit subscribe. This channel is all about the bikes actually worth getting excited about, and there is a lot more coming. Okay, so the CB1000F is basically the retro-bodied cousin of the naked CB1000 Hornet. Same frame, same engine family, a lot of the same electronics. Building it on an existing high-volume platform is exactly how Honda kept the price down. But here's the genuinely funny part. In some ways, the cheaper retro bike is better equipped than its pricier sibling. The CB1000F comes with a 6-axis IMU. That's the little brain that knows exactly how the bike is leaning and moving through space. And get this, the pricier Hornet SP sold here doesn't come with that same 6-axis IMU. On the CB1000F, that unit unlocks cornering ABS, so your brakes behave properly even when you're leaned hard over into a corner, plus lean-sensitive traction control. In plain terms, picture yourself leaned into a damp, greasy bend and grabbing a little too much front brake. That's the exact moment that used to just send bikes sliding down the tarmac, and this is the tech that catches you. On a machine at this price, having that safety net standard is a genuinely big deal. From there, it just keeps stacking. 3 levels of traction control that you can also switch off completely. Engine braking control, adjustable power delivery, 5 ride modes, including 2 you set up yourself, a crisp 5-inch color TFT screen with smartphone connectivity for navigation and calls, Honda's smart key so you don't even have to pull the key out of your pocket, full LED lighting all around, Showa suspension, radial mount Nissan brakes clamping big 310mm front discs. And it's not some intimidating monster to sit on either. The seat sits a manageable 31.3 inches off the ground, and it tips the scales at a claimed 472 pounds ready to ride, which for a full liter-class 4-cylinder is completely reasonable. It's approachable in a way a lot of big-bore bikes just aren't. Read that list back and remember the price tag. This is genuinely gear you'd expect to pay a couple grand more for. Honda basically raided the parts shelf of a modern Naked, wrapped it all in 1979, and charged less than the competition. Which brings up the obvious question: how does it actually stack up against the bikes people are cross-shopping? Let's line them up. First, the obvious one, the Kawasaki Z900RS. It's the bike the CB1000F was clearly built to beat. The Kawasaki is a 948 cubic centimeters inline-four, making roughly 110 horsepower, depending on how you measure it, and it will run you $12,899. So the Honda is bigger and costs $2,300 less, and the two weigh about the same, right around 470 pounds. But don't sleep on the Kawasaki. For 2026, it got a serious electronics upgrade of its own, with an IMU cornering ABS, cruise control, and a quick shifter, and some of that isn't standard on the Honda. So Honda wins the price fight cleanly. The overall matchup is closer than the sticker alone makes it look. Then there's Honda's own Rebel 1100, low and laid back. It's cheaper at $9,699, but it's a completely different animal. A relaxed parallel twin cruiser making 87 horsepower. If you want easygoing cruiser vibes, great. If you want that four-cylinder standard feel, it's not even the same conversation. The Indian Sports Scout is another one people bring up, but it's a 1,250 cubic centimeters V-twin cruiser that starts around $13,600. More money, heavier, and a totally different character. And then the wild card, the KTM 990 Duke, all sharp angles and orange menace. This one's actually interesting because KTM claims 123 horsepower out of its parallel twin, and it's a proper lightweight hooligan machine. It's priced in the same broad ballpark, give or take, depending on the model year and deals. If raw aggression is what you're after, the Duke has a real argument, but it's about as far from retro charm as you can get. So where does that leave the CB1000F? For the specific rider who wants a classic inline-four with a modern safety net at this price, nothing else quite lines up the same way. The Kawasaki is the real fight, but the Honda's price makes it a genuinely tough one to argue against. And if you've got a favorite in that lineup, drop a comment telling me which one you'd actually park in your garage. I do read them. So is it perfect? No. And this is where I have to be straight with you because a bike this hyped always shows up with a few asterisks. First, that horsepower question from earlier. If the US model really is making around 102 horsepower instead of the 122 Honda advertises in Europe, some riders are going to feel a little shortchanged. It's still plenty for the street. But if you're the type who checks the spec sheet against the brochure, you'll notice, and some people will care. Second, and this one's bigger, the engine family this bike is built on has already had a recall. The CB1000 Hornet SP that shares this engine family was recalled in the US over excessive oil consumption, traced back to out-of-spec pistons that, in a worst case, could seize the engine. Now here's the important context. That recall covers specific 2025 Hornet SP units, and Honda has said the CB1000F is not among the affected bikes, partly because it hadn't gone on sale yet when the recall landed. Reports also connect the CB1000F's delayed production to Honda getting this sorted. And sharing an engine family isn't the same as sharing the faulty parts. So it's less run for the hills and more know the history and ask your dealer to confirm your specific bike is in the clear. And third, the nitpick that lit up every forum, the screen. Some riders love the styling right up until they clock that modern rectangular TFT display sitting where two round classic gauges probably should be. On a bike this committed to looking like 1979, a smartphone-style screen and a key fob feel a little out of place. It's a small thing. But the whole reason people buy retro is the small things, so yeah, it comes up a lot. And look, none of that is a deal breaker. It's the price of admission for a bike that gets almost everything else right. Because when you zoom out, it's pretty clear who Honda built this for. It's the rider who's wanted a proper four-cylinder standard for years, but could never quite justify superbike money. It's the person who's tired of every modern bike looking the same. Someone who just wants to twist the throttle, hear that inline-four sing, and not need a track license to enjoy a Sunday morning. So, will riders actually buy it? Everything's pointing that way. The early coverage has been positive, dealers are lining up reservations, and for once, Honda didn't tease the exact bike everyone wanted and then sell it only in Japan. They built the affordable four-cylinder standard, loaded it up, priced it under the competition, and committed it to the American lineup. After years of riders begging for it, Honda finally, actually listened. The real test is still the road. We're waiting on proper US reviews and a dyno to settle that power question. But on paper, this is the bike people asked for. So now the fun questions are which color you're putting in the garage and whether that engine sounds as good as it looks. And on that second one, if you want to hear this thing at full chat, that is the video I would watch next.